Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are going to chat about a book from one of my favourite writers, Olivia Laing. This is Crudo. Now, this book was actually published back in 2018. It's set in 2017, so I'm reviewing this a good 8 years after I first read it, and I recently reread it. And the reason is because as I was going through all the books that I've reviewed on YouTube, I realised I hadn't actually reviewed this one. I've got all these books on the shelves that I've read, hadn't reviewed, and I thought I really want to share this because I really like sharing books that I love, but a lot of the books I love are quite orthodox in contemporary fiction. Crudo is very experimental. It's very brave, it's bold, it's different, it's writing with like elbows, really sort of jutty out, it's staccato, it's deliberately innovative, and sometimes those kind of works need a supporter to go say, yeah, no, take a chance with Crudo, take a chance with this writing. It's really interesting. And so we read Crudo, and I've come back to you today to chat about it. So, why Crudo? Why do I want to chat about it? So, even though this book is set in 2017, because of its subject matter, because of the world that it's deliberately and explicitly set in at the time, this still feels really relevant, and I still recommend it. Summer of 2017, it was Trump's first year in his first term. It was post-Brexit, so the UK was committing hara-kiri. Fascism is on the rise, truth is dead, the planet is literally on fire. This feels exactly like the world we're still in today. And so in the summer of 2017, Olivia Laing was getting married. It was the first summer of her 40s, and she's getting married. And I think she was really wrestling with how the joy, the positivity, the frivolousness of a wedding fits in to that global backdrop. So how can you be happy when everything that you love is on the edge, when everything that we feel and trust and venerate is on the precipice and being pushed over by really malevolent forces? And so that was Olivia's juxtaposition where she was at. What she then did, so this book is set in that summer of 2017 as she follows her wedding, her marriage, where it fits in this global backdrop. What Olivia then does is she looks to remove herself from the writing and instead writes as if she is Kathy Acker. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Kathy Acker, don't necessarily see that as a reason not to read this book. Kathy Acker was an extremely exciting writer, essayist, novelist, performance artist from the New York scene of the 70s, 80s. She wrote a lot about rebellion. She was very punkish in her spirit, a lot about sexuality, a lot about like I say, rebellion, challenging to the norm, a real avant-garde personality, really interesting life, interesting experiences, really challenging the status quo, and really wrote in a very bold, vivid, and explicit way. And so Olivia then has chosen to layer this summer of 2017 as if she was Kathy Acker. How would Kathy Acker, what would Madonna do? What would Jesus do? What would Kathy Acker do? What would she think right now? This book, interestingly, I remember at the time, I think I read an article where Olivia was saying this book was never actually meant to be published. It was deliberately experimental. She was deliberately playing with things. And I'm so glad Picador really took her on and said, no, we really want to publish this because this is really interesting writing. So where previously, I think I've reviewed The Lonely City that Olivia Laing wrote, this beautiful, tender examination of to be alone in New York and the artists and thinkers who've been there in those footsteps before. Crudo takes that kind of alienation and separation and tries to go into another direction with it, tries to take it a step up, messes with it. This is really interesting writing. There's some really bold observations that feel as pertinent now as they did back in 2017. There's this wonderful sentence here. Everyone talked about politics all the time, but no one knew what was happening. This is what it's like in dictatorships, Alex said. People only know what's happening because of gossip. And I really feel that when I still look at the States or I still look at politics, is we're just not told the truth. We almost have to guess. Like the States, Mitch McConnell, is he dead? Who the hell knows? That is the kind of thing that used to happen in the Soviet Union. So it was kind of that sense of what the hell, and I'm in love with this man. And it was just that really interesting juxtaposition that I really adored. And I found Olivia's experimentalism by taking on the voice of another person, a really bold, challenging writer from an era where everything was also a mess, but also someone who came with a very free mind. Kathy Acker had such a free mind. And I just thought that brought something to Olivia's writing that was really interesting. This is very easy to read. Yes, the sentences are short, sharp, staccato. There's a lot of, what's the phrase that I'm looking for? Subconscious delivery. You know, it's just really stream of subconscious, that kind of stream of thought, what's going through my head right now. But it isn't alienating. It isn't complicated. It isn't hard to read. It is just a really interesting, jagged mind running through a very confusing world. Crudo, Raw, just feels like a really sharp title as well. Olivia is a really interesting writer. So even though this book, like I said, is about 7 or 8 years old, this still feels relevant. There's this point in the book, and I've got to find, I'm not going to find it, but what it was they're saying, there's this point in the book where, you know, we're laughing now and we don't know what the hell's going to happen now. But in the future, one day we'll look back at this and we'll understand how it panned out. We still don't know yet how this is going to pan out. We still feel like we're in an end game that we can't control. I know that. By the way, I hope you're staying strong through these mad times. This book is a real accompaniment for these mad times. And though this book is set in 2017, these mad times aren't over. And I'm over 6.5 minutes, so I won't take up any of your time. But if you are looking for something interesting to read, and perhaps Crudo passed you by, perhaps Crudo didn't pass you by and it's been sat on your shelf and you haven't read it for 6 years, pick it up and read it again. Short book, as you can see, loved it. Really got my mind back into the gear about where we are today and just finding that accompanying voice that is also going, yeah, this is crazy, isn't it? Love it. Crudo, Olivia Laing.